Hello and welcome. Doug Diamond here for another Diamond Report Live. Thank you for joining me tonight. Yes, 10:10 p.m. on July the 30th, 2023. This is your host, Doug Diamond. We're going to do another broadcast. So this is, I would say, pretty safely, pretty easily labeled as the most jam-packed broadcast in alt news. I can probably pretty safely say that. I don't know if you guys agree or not, but we fit a lot of stuff in there. And guess what? Gee whiz, there are no commercials. Zero. Zip. Zilch. Nada. All right. So I hope you enjoyed those videos. The first two, there were two back-to-back Greg Reese videos I thought were both very appropriate. And then that last one I thought was really, really cool. It's an AI version of Paul Harvey, If I Were the Devil, but it's If I Were the Deep State. And I thought that was pretty amazing, actually. Really, really good work. I did not create that. That was off of InfoWars broadcast, as you probably saw in the corners. But anyway, yeah, very interesting stuff. Hope you guys had a great week so far and a great weekend. So let's take a look at the news. We've got a few things to cover tonight. Tons and tons of articles, actually. Lots of stuff to look at. And quite a few videos. We'll see how much we can get to. We'll try and hold it to around 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Last weekend, I think we were pushing close to 3 hours. So anyway, it's just the way it goes. Lots and lots of stuff to talk about. There is never a dull moment around here, that is for sure. So here we go. All right. First one I've got pulled up here is Hal Turner radio show. Drone attack yet again against Moscow. And you guys may have known about this or may have seen this. This happened yesterday, the 29th. And let me play this. I've got it muted here because pretty much all you can hear is a little kid who was videoing it screaming his head off. And understandably why. You can see it impact right there. And he's just videoing the skyscrapers because he likes the architecture, the skyscrapers in Moscow, and then all of a sudden catches this drone hit. And the rest is history, as they say. Then there's a dash cam video as well. So what does this mean exactly? Is the West, is NATO, is the U.S. provoking Russia? Trying to start World War III? That's what it sure seems like to me. Let me know what you guys think in chat. And we will take a look at chat. I probably will. I've been looking at that near the end of the broadcast when I will go through and see what you guys are saying and address any comments and questions. I think that seems to work best. If you have any comments, questions for me directly, that's not just talking back and forth amongst yourselves, which is really cool. I'm glad you're doing that. If you have any questions for me directly, maybe put them in all caps so I don't miss them, just so you guys know. And yeah, so we're gonna revisit this whole idea of not only the drone attack, but what NATO and the U.S. are doing and why they're doing what they're doing against Russia. It seems to be, in my opinion, to provoke World War III. That seems to be where it's going. On Hal's website, he's also got another article on here. This HalTurnerRadioshow.com is where it is. And again, highly recommended. If you are not a subscriber, I am a subscriber. If you're not one, I would recommend going to do that. I think he says it's like $1 a week or something like that. It's ridiculously cheap. And with that, you get access to his archive of radio shows, which I really like because I go through and listen to each show every night after he's recorded them. So one of the other articles he has on the homepage here, hundreds of Ukrainian troops displaying white flags on their tanks and infantry vehicles surrendered en masse to Russia today. This was yesterday. More and more common as troops see with their own eyes it is hopeless to continue fighting. And you can see here there's video footage of it happening. So, you got all of these Ukrainian troops with little to no training being thrown into the meat grinder, and they're realizing what a bad situation it is, and they are literally surrendering. So, and I don't blame them. And this is the other one I want to show you guys. Hush hush, Pentagon orders combat pay, quote unquote, for U.S. troops in Ukraine. Combat pay. They've ordered combat pay for U.S. troops serving in Ukraine. Here's the official memo. dated July 13th, says, this begs the questions, why are U.S. troops inside Ukraine at all? I think we know the answer to that. And if the only U.S. troops in Ukraine are, quote, advisors, then why the combat pay? Feel free to take a look at that if you want. And like everything, I will link to all of these articles and more in the Substack post that I will put out tomorrow at some point, probably in the afternoon. It's been afternoons lately when I'm able to get the final version of this show uploaded to all of the different platforms, Rumble, BitChute, Brighteon, ClickView, back on Facebook, and so forth. And I will then also send out a link, or I should say an email with all of the links on Substack. And the address to subscribe to that, it's free, is diamonddisc.substack.com. You'll see it in the upper right corner up there. I would certainly appreciate your hopping on that list so that I can send you all of the pertinent information. And just in general, stay in touch in case something bad happens. So far, so good on email. Things tend to go to spam, but at least I do seem to be receiving the emails from you guys. Hopefully you guys are receiving it as well on your end. So the great debanking is upon us. Global, draconian, and devastating. This is on Patrick Wood's website, technocracy.news. As he wrote in his book, The Evil Twins of Technocracy and Transhumanism, the global banking cartel has risen to the surface as the real driver of globalization. Technocracy in the Great Reset in 1973, commercial banks populated the ranks of organizations like the Trilateral Commission. In 2023, they have been replaced by these central banks themselves. There is a hierarchy in the banking system where the Bank for International Settlements, BIS, sits at the apex, dishing out policies to individual central banks of member states, which in turn dish out policies to those commercial and investment banks in their respective countries. We know for certain that the BIS is driving the stampede towards a cashless society with central bank digital currencies. According to its own website, the BIS Innovation Hub develops public goods in the technology space to support central banks and improve the functioning of the financial system. We have centers around the world and a global network of central bank experts on innovation. That's their own words. There are at least 7 such innovation hubs, centers around the world that are equipped with the latest financial technology and development tools. Individual central banks send their development teams to the closest hub to innovate, collaborate, and test the use of CBDCs. So quite a bit more here, and is including the phenomenon of debanking, which I'm sure you guys know all about that. Some of you may have even been debanked yourself. I have clients that have been debanked. Luckily, it hasn't happened to me quite yet. I do think it's coming, though. So there is more on that particular article, and again, we'll link to that in the Substack, or you can just go to technocracy.news and find it. It's front and center on the homepage at the moment. Got a couple more articles on this site that I wanted to show you guys. Sam Altman's WorldCoin launches to fierce criticism and rejection. You might have seen a few of the clips of that happening in the second of the Greg Reese videos that we watched. Sam Altman, head of OpenAI and ChatGPT, is further demonstrating his twisted technocrat mind with the launch of WorldCoin. WorldCoin bluntly states that everyone will be identified with the Orb's iris scans. You probably saw it, the silver ball, whether they like it or not. Further, it will be the vehicle to promote universal basic income to the whole world. So ChatGPT will wreck the world, and WorldCoin will save it? Altman speaks out of both sides of his mouth. With OpenAI, he pleads for government regulation while openly fearing AI's threat to humanity, even as his development teams race forward to release the next and more advanced version. This is the Hegelian dialectic at its extreme. WorldCoin is just another example of the same scheme. Just trust us, they say, as you peer into the shiny iris scanning orb. Isn't that nice? WorldCoin. So it's a bit interesting to me. I'm sort of interested in what they're going to call this one world monetary system. There's been a lot of debate about it. Obviously, there's people, Anthony Patch and so forth, believe that it will be some version of Diem, and this could be some, connection to that I don't really know. I'm not sure. I haven't done any other homework on WorldCoin. I do know that a lot of people are talking about it now. The main thing, though, is that it's going to have to be transactional based, where people who've taken the mark of the beast, who have that in their body in order to access their bank accounts, they want to be able to go shop at Target, say, and they want to be able to go there and process transactions and have it debit their account. And to me, that's probably the most important part of it, is the transactional aspect of it. And many of the blockchain-based systems like Bitcoin and the other cryptos are not really friendly for that. They're not really, they weren't designed for that. But whatever this one world currency that's coming is, certainly will be. So it definitely remains to be seen. This is the third and final article on technocracy.news I have pulled up. UN in panic mode. The era of global warming has ended. The era of global boiling has arrived. Global boiling. I'm not sure if you've heard that term before. It says fear porn is like heroin. It takes more and more to get the same high until it finally kills you. The UN is capitalizing on summer temperatures to ratchet up the global warming rhetoric. We are now in the era of global boiling. Yet, fear porn works as evidenced by the billions of people who pant at every new proclamation. All of this charade is designed to drive the world into technocracy. That's exactly right. It's exactly where it's headed. I do think that there's some truth to some of it, although not necessarily the global boiling that they're talking about. Dane Wigington talks at length about it on all of his broadcasts. So that's something we'll take a look at again in just a little bit as we kind of peruse through all of the news tonight. Moving on, we've got, I found this one on Daily Crow. I thought this was kind of interesting. This is something that I have talked about at length for quite some time now, really since 2019, at least a version of this. So here's what this says. It's rather obvious to me that the year 2030 will be associated with Jacob's trouble, aka Daniel's 70th 7. Many eschatologists believe 2030 could be the end of Daniel's 77's prophecy, while others think it could be the middle or the start. Those who believe that 2030 will be the end of the tribulation is because they are of the opinion that Jesus was crucified in 30 AD and he will come again at his second advent 2,000 years later. That is very close to what I've been saying since 2019 after working on the project called 2028 End. And this thing that I just read is only off by 2 years. I believe Jesus was crucified in the year 28, not 30. So therefore, it's not going to be 2030. That's the target date here. It's 2028. And to me, that makes a lot of sense. And in fact, I've built an entire video series around that idea. And you guys, I'm sure, have seen this timeline. It's based on the idea that Jesus will return, Feast of Trumpets, September 2028. And then, of course, working backwards from that date puts you at early 2025 when the Antichrist's reign will officially begin. That's the final 3.5 years. But then if you go back 3.5 years before that, it puts you at September of 2021, which is what I've been saying all along as far as the final 7 years, or what this article is talking about, which is Daniel's 70th week. Jacob's trouble would be the beginning of, going back to the timeline, Jacob's trouble would be right here. That would be the final 3.5 years. The Antichrist's reign to begin. January 2025, according to what I've got on the timeline. So, anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting. I found this, and it's pointing to this article. And again, I'll link to this in my Substack. And it's far too much to read through right now. But it's an article called 7 Times More. And that's exactly what it's about, 2030. And Jesus potentially be coming back then? So obviously there's a lot here, you can see, and lots of scripture and stuff. So feel free to look at this if you want to. And again, we'll link to it in the Substack post for tomorrow. But I just came across that earlier today and thought it was pretty interesting because it's saying stuff that I've been saying just only off by a couple of years. So yeah, so we will see what happens. And that's sort of the whole purpose for this live broadcast, honestly, is to document the end times news as we are seeing it unfold, and how it's fitting with Scripture, in that the world is essentially coming apart at the seams. At least society is. Total breakdown. So it's been pretty amazing to watch it all, and to know, really, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have been prepared for this kind of stuff, as far as not really knowing exactly when things were going to unfold, but just that it was coming. And it's the fact that it's here now, I think, is waking a lot of people up. And that's one of my goals here on this broadcast, is to help wake people up so that they see how ridiculous the crazy news cycle is all the time, and realize Jesus' return is imminent. 5 years from now that's not very far away. So anyway, let's keep moving on here. We've got lots to look at tonight. News Wars featured crazy lines around the world. Video shows dozens lined up for their irises to be scanned for the WorldCoin crypto program. Throngs of clueless sheep queue up to assimilate in the New World Order current cryptocurrency financial scheme. So, that's something we mentioned earlier. And the silver orb, I don't know if there's any pictures of it here. I don't see any. But it says, footage circulating on social media shows a line of people supposedly queued up to get their eyes scanned as part of the WorldCoin cryptocurrency initiative. OpenAI CEO and Bilderberg attendee Sam Altman documented the third day of his latest product's launch on Twitter, writing, "Day 3 of WorldCoin launch, crazy lines around the world. One person getting verified every 8 seconds. I'm surprised that it's not 6.66 seconds." So, anyway, I don't know. I guess I don't know if it's true or not. That's just what this guy is saying. He's talking about the silver orbs here. So this article is mentioning. The WorldCoin initiative aims to install silver orbs around the globe. That's not dystopic at all, is it? That scan an individual's irises to enable or to establish the user's unique identity and then issue a world ID or digital passport. So this article is on News Wars, and there's more to it if you want to have a look. And I saw this one and thought this was worth mentioning. And I actually did mention this last week, but this is an article about it. Top WEF official, which is Homo Harari here. Dangerous conspiracy theorists must be eliminated. A top WEF official, which is Harari here, has called for so-called conspiracy theorists to be banned from accessing the internet due to their dangerous belief that a global cabal of elites control the world. And in fact, he does work for them. Did he forget? You all know Harari, who is Klaus Schwab's right-hand man, condemned the theory that a shadowy elite of billionaires and globalists control the world. During an appearance on the Lex Friedman podcast, Harari pointed out that the world is too complex for powerful people to control it. Yeah, right. And here are some different quotes that he has put forth in this interview, I guess. And it says, Harari's attempt to downplay the role of the WEF in shaping world policies is shameless. The WEF and Harari regularly boast about their plans to control the world. Must have forgotten that little detail. As the People's Voice reported, Harari has previously admitted that the WEF are creating a technological Noah's Ark on Earth that will only be beneficial to the elites. During a discussion at the Warwick Economics Summit, he bragged that the world's elites will soon be able to use their immense power to escape a global mass extinction event that they themselves will create as part of the depopulation agenda. And yet, you're crazy and you're a conspiracy theorist if you bring it up. It doesn't exist. See how that works? So anyway, that's on the People's Voice is where that one is. Ocean Gate, you remember them. The Titanic sub, the little sub that exploded. The Titan. Ocean Gate co-founder wants to send 1,000 people to a floating colony on Venus by 2050. Isn't that nice? Sign me up. If we're still around in 2050, I would be surprised. Co-founder of Ocean Gate, It doesn't appear to be deterred by the Titan submersible tragedy and it exploding and killing everyone on board, and is pushing the limits of extreme travel with ambitions to send 1,000 humans to live in a floating colony on Venus by 2050, where the surface temperature is, I kid you not, 900 degrees. And we're going to trust this guy? No, of course not. But it is pretty funny. That they're even bothering to write an article about this is actually pretty funny. But it is the New York Post, after all. The New York Compost. The new term for climate change was just dropped. Global boiling. I mentioned that earlier. Just in time for the fall fashion season, we now have a new way to describe the periodic heat waves that have been a normal part of Earth's atmosphere for 4 billion years. It's called global boiling, and you should be afraid. Very afraid. UN chief claims the era of global warming has ended. The era of global boiling has arrived. Yes, according to him anyway. The air is unbreathable. I don't know how he's talking. He says the air is unbreathable. The heat is unbearable. Wait a minute. He has a full suit on. The heat is unbearable, and the level of fossil fuel profits and climate inaction is unacceptable. I wonder how much profit he's making off of this. What was that last part there? The level of fossil fuel profits is unacceptable. You know, I kind of get the sense that bitter, ideologically driven, Marxist-fueled, envy-filled anger over profits is mostly what's driving this hysteria. Don't you? Do you ever feel that way? Well, anyway, we're very excited to be here with all of you in the era of global boiling. Let the party begin. Let the party begin, it says. Well, I'm not really going to make fun of anything other than this guy and the UN and the fact that they've got this other catchphrase here. It's far worse than global boiling, and it's not really... we can't really say that the world is going to boil over, although I do think that... and the reason I say that is because God is in control. God is in control of this planet. He created it, and no matter what is coming down the pike, from environmental catastrophe to a non-environmental catastrophe, whatever it is, whatever's coming down the pike, he's in control of. That doesn't mean we should just turn our backs and ignore it. The point is we need to fight where we need to fight. And in this case, it is trying to stop global geoengineering, trying to get those programs shut down, because that is the climate chaos that they like to talk about, although they don't really like to tell us that they're the ones running the climate chaos. They just like to complain about it and then impose their tyranny on all of us. Breaking. U.S. announces $345 million in military aid for Taiwan. So they must have signed up on the same dole as the Ukrainian folks, because they're getting a lot of dough from the U.S. The Biden administration announced a significant military aid package for Taiwan amounting to $345 million. This marks the first major package under the current administration that draws from America's own stockpiles to support Taiwan in countering China. So this website is unusualwhales.com, which I've mentioned before. They have some pretty good articles on here. Okay, well, let's keep moving here. News Wars. Fake war footage. Ukrainian woman filmed carrying several large slabs of concrete after an alleged Russian attack. So once again, we have more crazy fakery going on, just like the CNN guy years and years ago. I guess it was during the Gulf War, where he would turn and his nose would disappear because of the lighting and the green screen and stuff. This is almost as bad. Says some people claiming the scene of a missile attack on Orthodox Ukrainian church was staged. I'm not sure what you guys might think about this. I've got it muted here. Well, here, let me play it. I don't really want to hear him talk. I want to show you the footage and see what you guys think. If you watch in the center of the screen, more or less, right here, you'll be able to see those women just carrying all those huge piles of concrete away. Well, it's not piles of concrete, it's piles of foam. Foam! I mean, this front lady has a couple, and then the lady right there's got 5 in her left hand and 2 more in her right hand. Man, she's like super strong. she's like Superwoman, or is simply rubber. Again, here it is. So, fake much? Any fraud involved there, do you think? Now, you know, the people in the alt media, though, will go to the other extreme and say none of it's happening. I do think it's happening, although I do think they're absolutely mostly running propaganda as far as what the media is seeing. That particular thing was just caught on tape, caught on film. That wasn't supposed to be video, and I'm pretty sure. Here's what it says. In the video, a pair of women can be seen picking up rubble with one lady carrying 5 huge pieces of concrete with one hand and 2 other pieces on her other hand. Perhaps instead of chasing down and capturing unsuspecting Ukrainian men from the streets and forcing them to fight on the front lines of the war with Russia, the Ukrainians should enlist some of these super strength women. Now, it's unclear as to what materials the woman was grabbing or why the scene would need to be staged in the first place. The whole attack on the church stinks of misinformation, as the Ukrainian government has recently criticized the nation's Orthodox Church as being aligned with Russia and has strictly cracked down on church officials and parishioners across the country. Ukrainian puppet Zelensky's regime even went so far as canceling Orthodox Christmas this year. So anyway, there's more information here. This is on News Wars, and I just thought that was kind of interesting and pretty funny footage of the woman just carting off 7 huge slabs of concrete and just doing it with ease. It's because it was 7 huge slabs of foam. Pretty wild. All right, let's look at this. I wanted to show you guys this. I just literally came across this a little while ago and wanted to include it. You guys know how I'm sort of like mentioning numbers like 1111 that I see all the time, and I've done videos where I've mentioned numbers like the importance of 20 and seeing different numbers and different things. Well, apparently I'm not the only one that sees numbers on things like this and relates them to a biblical construct, a biblical answer. And I came across this video, which I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I thought it was really interesting. We can watch just a few minutes of it. It's a pretty long video, so I don't want to watch the whole thing, but I wanted to show you at least this little bit and thought it was pretty interesting. I'll stay on camera here while he's talking about exactly what's going on. It's called Urgent New Discovery in First and Last Verses of the King James Bible. I was having a discussion with a good friend of mine a little while ago on Facebook about the King James Bible. And I've done broadcasts and mentioned how it's connected to Francis Bacon. Sir Francis Bacon was apparently hired by King James to write that version of the Bible, the King James Version. And he and his team of writers not only did that, but they were also the ones supposedly who wrote all of the Shakespearean plays, wrote all of the Shakespeare stuff, and they gave the credit to a person who was alive at the time that actually did exist, but he was a complete moron, and that was William Shakespeare. The real William Shakespeare was a complete moron. He could barely even sign his name. And we've talked about that before. I did a broadcast on that about a year ago on the Diamond Report Live. I talked about that. And I will try and remember and link to that video in my Substack post tomorrow. However, all that to say, this is really about the King James Version of the Bible, and I do think that even though there's some questions with regard to the King James Version of the Bible, I think it's pretty easy to see after you watch this video that there is some sort of way that God has touched this version of the Bible. And I think it's probably one of the reasons that people love the King James Version. So even though to me some of its origins may be a little bit questionable, Francis Bacon was an occultist. I mean, he was like the father of science, essentially. So it's pretty interesting. And this particular video is talking about the King James Version of the Bible and these numbers that this pattern of numbers this guy's found. So here it is. Let me just stay on camera and I'll play this clip for you here. Here we go.
So here's the big one. Here is the most shocking thing that I've seen on my own computer screen. Okay, so this is in the entire Bible. Let me just type this in. My computer might be a little bit slow to load it because it takes a long time to load. Okay, let me clear the search filters here. This is going to be in the entire Bible. And again, this was all triggered by just noticing that there's 7 letters in the first and last words of these verses. So all I did, I typed in pretty much the same type of thing where we have amen capitalized, right? So using that logic, let's just start backwards. Using that logic, we have amen capitalized, 77 mentions. Then I put in the first word, so the first and last words of Revelation 22:21. So the and amen. And I use the same logic where I'm not looking at case sensitivity of the, which is like the basic word. I'm only looking at case sensitivity of the main word being used, of the subject word. So the and amen, and then I put in the first and last words of Genesis 1:1. So I put in earth, and to keep it consistent with Revelation 22:21, I made it case sensitive. So we have, right now we have the last word of Revelation 22:21, the first word of Revelation 22:21, we have the last word of Genesis 1:1, and now all we need to do is add the first word of Genesis 1:1. Are you ready for this? Let me get my camera off for this. Okay, are you ready for this? Let me type it in. So right now we have 65,103 mentions. Let's type it in. Let's type in. And let's wait for it to load. Do you see that? Do you see that? That's the first and last words of the first and last verses of the Bible. Do you see that? Are you getting that? Is that coming through? How is that possible? Coinciding with all of those other patterns. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. There's 5 sevens there. 77,777 mentions of the first and last words of the first and last verses of the Bible. What do you think that is?
I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last.
Anyway, hopefully you get the idea. I thought it was pretty fascinating. So what he did was he calculated the number of times, if you guys didn't quite understand, he calculated the number of times. Let me stop on this screen right here. He took the number of letters. You can see that you got Genesis, the first verse, and Revelation, the last verse of Revelation. And you can see that there's 7 letters there in those highlighted words, in earth and the amen, the amen. 7 letters in those, and that's what kind of got him on this pattern recognition idea. And so he took those words, in earth and the and amen, and put them into his computer program to find out how many occurrences of those 4 words combined happened across the entire King James Version of the Bible, and it was 77,777. Wow. Isn't that crazy? I just thought it was really pretty fascinating, and this video is fairly deep. It goes into quite a bit of information, a little bit of the background and stuff and so forth, but pretty wild. And again, I'll link to this in my Substack, or you guys can just find it on YouTube. It's on the Truth is Christ channel on YouTube. And it was just posted about 6 days ago at this point. So pretty interesting stuff. And, it's kind of right up my alley because I like to look at numbers and stuff like that with regard to how it fits into the biblical narrative. All right, this one's on WashingtonEngager.com. Creepy pyramid-shaped mountain in Antarctica sparks conspiracies. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I actually knew about this quite some time ago and remember looking on Google Earth to see it. It says, for the past 7 years, there's been quite a buzz around a pyramid-shaped summit nestled within Antarctica's Ellsworth mountain range. It all started back in 2016 when satellite images of this peculiar mountain emerged online, with its base spanning an impressive 2 kilometers on each side. 2 kilometers. It sure does look a lot like an ancient Egyptian pyramid, sparking all kinds of wild theories. Some folks believe it was crafted by an ancient civilization that lived there around 10,000 years ago during a warmer spell in Antarctica's history. Others are convinced it's the work of aliens dropped here from outer space. I mean, who wouldn't get excited about such a mysterious formation, right? But hold on a second. Geologists are not buying into the hype. According to them, this pyramid-shaped mountain is nothing more than a natural formation shaped by good old geological processes. So here it is on History Channel if you want to see what they say about it. Pyramid shapes are not impossible. Many peaks partially look like pyramids, but they only have 1 or 2 faces like that, rarely 4, this geology professor said. This is just a mountain that looks like a pyramid. No, I think it's actually a pyramid. If you look closer at it, it's pretty amazing. Unfortunately, they didn't have the Google car drive right by it so you can get a street view of it, but that would have been handy. But it's pretty amazing that it just happens to be 2 kilometers on every single side of the 4 sides. But I'm sure it's a total coincidence, right? You are a coincidence theorist if you believe that. But anyway, yeah, there's more information here if you guys want to look at this. And then, the flat earthers would say that, I don't know, I guess they would say that it's part of the ring around the entire surface of the earth, because Antarctica is spread out as a ring around the earth, right? Something like that. Anyway, but I'm reminded of one of our guests, I would say even a frequent guest on Lost Arts Radio, that we've had on there, Dr. Sam. His last name is really hard to pronounce. Osmanagic is how you say it. But he is Bosnian, and he is the discoverer of the Bosnian pyramid. And it's pretty amazing. It's a really neat story, and it's actually shaped very similar to this one here on screen. And it's about the same size, roughly. It's huge, and it was covered in dirt and moss and everything. So, but he was the one that discovered that it existed, and it is in fact a pyramid, and you can see it, by plane or by drone or whatever. It's pretty easy to tell that it was a geological object that was built on purpose by someone. Probably not by humans. I wouldn't go so far as to say aliens. I think it was probably like so many of the other historical type of structures like that, like the pyramids of Giza and so forth, that they were probably built by ancient civilizations, but not necessarily human. So whether that was giants or what that was exactly, it's hard to say. But their ability to precisely create these structures that can really only be appreciated from the air in so many cases is pretty amazing. So I just wanted to bring your attention to this, that somebody's talking about this, and this was actually just published yesterday on this particular website, talking about the pyramid on Antarctica. So yeah, pretty interesting. But these megalithic structures are pretty amazing to look at. I got to see some firsthand on a trip to Peru a few years ago. So yeah, I've seen them up close. Globalists pushing to end cows when suddenly a tick appears that causes severe allergy to red meat. Have you guys heard about this? The red meat allergy tick. Yeah. Says if you ask a climate zealot what person, place, or thing is the leading cause of killing the planet, beef would likely show up in the top 5. Globalists have been working tirelessly to end red meat as we know it. They've promoted bugs, chemical-filled soy crumbles, and even fake lab-grown meat as beef replacements. It's an all-out war on cows, so what's their beef with beef? Well, it's pretty much the same across the board. Talking about meat production significantly contributes to the release of greenhouse gases, including carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. As large volumes of these greenhouse gases accumulate in the Earth's atmosphere, they absorb radiation and prevent heat escaping. This leads to global warming. But geoengineering doesn't do any of those things. It's healthy for the planet, right? But beef is the bad guy. Anyway, meanwhile, on the flip side, it appears that lab-grown beef could end up like electric cars and windmills. Bad news for Mother Earth and just another gimmick designed to lull people into a false sense of charity, as if they're truly doing good while serving as a huge moneymaker for people like Bill Gates and his elite pals. But they don't exist, according to Homo Harari, right? They don't exist. Anyway, here's what this says. However soon, we may not have a choice in what we eat. Right on cue, a very strange and coincidental, if you're a theorist, a coincidence theorist, a red meat allergy has cropped up just when the globalists are pushing hard to end beef consumption. This allergy is spread via a tick, an insect that many believe has already been weaponized, linking it to Lyme disease, which there's no question that's true. This new allergy just happens to be forcing hundreds of thousands of people to quit eating steaks, burgers, roasts, and much more, things that make you go, yeah. So, yeah, apparently, and it may detail it further in this article, apparently if you get bit by this tick who's been infected with this red meat syndrome, or whatever you want to call it, then you can no longer consume beef without getting violently ill. So something to watch out for. I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. I didn't know if you were already. This article is on revolver.news. Pretty interesting, huh? Reclaim the Net. I found some good headlines. I probably won't go through all of these, but we can at least look at some of the headlines. UK government censorship unit consulted with the United Nations and G7 on misinformation. So that's good news, huh? So yeah, spy agencies were involved in controversial UK counter disinformation unit since its inception. Senators Elizabeth Warren and Lindsey Graham team up to tackle cyberbullying, physical, emotional development, online harms, and more. So if you didn't sleep well at night, now you probably really won't when you know that Elizabeth Warren and Lindsey Graham are teaming up to do anything. So anyway, there's more here on this particular website, reclaimthenet.org. I did find out not too long ago by trying to post a reclaimthenet.org link in Facebook, it automatically bans it. So don't bother trying to share reclaimthenet.org on Facebook because it won't work. Activistpost.com, some of their articles that they have here, 10 signs that the mainstream media is not telling you the truth about the economy. Article by Michael Snyder, guy that I like. He's got some really interesting stuff out there. U.S. announces $345 million in aid for Taiwan, which I mentioned that earlier. Leaders, organizations, residents oppose carbon pipeline being installed near poorest neighborhoods, citing risks from sorry state of regulation. Eat your strawberries. New study shows they're powerful brain and heart boosters. Germans should prepare for tough years ahead due to energy transition. Green economy minister warns. That's because they're shutting it all off. That's why it's going to be tough years ahead. Not only for Germany, but for all of us. I've never seen anything like this. Mysterious Chinese biolab is discovered in remote California city. And then U.S. government admits aliens are real, but nobody believes them. That's the other one. There was a lot of talk about space aliens this week, and I decided that I wasn't going to cover that because so many other people are talking about that right now. But not to hide anything, I just don't really. I don't believe it. I just don't think it's true. And this headline kind of sums it up. Actually, U.S. government admits aliens are real, but nobody believes them. It's because they lie about absolutely everything. Why would we believe this? So anyway, all right. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention this one, notthebee.com. So you guys get Amazon packages, I'm sure. Check out this. This says this lady had over 100 Amazon packages delivered to her door that she never ordered, and she isn't the only one. So I saw this and was trying to figure out what in the world was going on. It says Imagine coming home and finding your doorway covered by Amazon packages, hundreds of boxes you never ordered, and they all have your address but someone else's name on them. That's what happened to Cindy Smith when this Chinese guy shipped 1,000 headlamps, 800 glue guns, and dozens of pairs of binoculars to her house. She contacted Amazon, and they initially thought it was a brushing scam, where an online vendor creates fake sales in order to inflate the number of 5-star reviews. But when they dug into it, that wasn't the case. The merchandise was unsold items being cleared from Amazon's fulfillment centers to make space for more. It turns out that with the current cost of international shipping, it's cheaper for a Chinese company to take a loss and dump old merchandise in mass on a random American consumer than it is to have it shipped back to China. So that's not the only time that's happened. It says a DC woman got a bunch of children's bedding and a California woman got 100 portable heaters. So Christmas may be coming early if you go home and realize there's stacks and stacks of boxes from some Chinese company at your door. So just watch out. I thought that was kind of odd. I'd not heard of that one before, but it does make sense. You know, shipping is very expensive. So that's how they're dumping the product. They're literally just shipping it to people at random. They'll pick somebody and ship you 100 of something or 1,000 of something. So crazy. Anyway, nottobe.com on that one. And then this one I thought was pretty funny. You guys are like this. I'm starting to get worried about the next generation. This Instagram mom decided to film and produce a reel that shows the awesome food hack of, drumroll please, keeping leftovers. Yeah, you heard that right. She calls this a hack. Obsessed with this. This is a person on Twitter says, obsessed with this woman on Instagram who just discovered the concept of leftovers. She's literally fixed a box of macaroni and cheese. Well, actually, it's shells and cheese, mac and cheese. And she decides she's going to hack the system. And instead of throwing all the rest of it that was not eaten away, she literally puts it in containers and puts saran wrap over the top of it and thinks that's the most unbelievably cool hack that anyone could ever come up with, and no one had ever thought about it before. I'll leave it up to you guys to watch the video. We won't spend the time on it, but I just thought it was really funny. Says, first off, that's not mac and cheese. That's cheapo shells and cheese, but I'll let that go. That's the least of this woman's issues. Secondly, has this lady who is a grown woman ever seen a Tupperware container in her life? She uses plastic cups and covers them in saran wrap and throws the leftover mac in the freezer for maximum freezer burn potential. Yum. Anyway, I just thought that was pretty funny. There's actually people out there that believe that that's a hack and that no one else has thought about it. Keeping leftovers. Wow. Amazing. All right. Washington Engager. I saw this and was really grossed out, actually, about this. So sorry to kind of gross you guys out, too, but I thought I'd share it. She went blind after tattooing her eyeballs, but says she has no regrets. Her eyeballs. Her eyeballs are now blue. I gotta admit, I'm a big fan of tattoos myself, but this is on a whole other level, this person says. Australian woman named Amber Luke is totally hooked on extreme body mods. She actually went blind after getting her eyeballs tattooed. But get this, she says she has absolutely no regrets because she's becoming her true self. But now she can't see all of her great tattoos, right? I mean, how insane. She spent 280,000 Australian dollars doing this. She's a 28-year-old. She's now blind. This is what she looked like before all of that. This is what she looks like now. She's gone from absolutely gorgeous to absolutely hideous by choice, and now she's blind. So the very first comment down here, I don't usually read the comments, but the first one kind of caught my eye. It says, this is from somebody named Zombie Ready. Romans 1:28, because they chose not to retain the knowledge of God in their thoughts, he will give them over to a reprobate mind, that they might do that which should not be done. This beautiful creation of God destroyed what she was given by her creator. The satanic symbols tell the story. He was a liar from the beginning who comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So, wow. I just want to show you that, and this is, another anecdotal type of story proving that we are indeed in the end times. This kind of stuff would never have happened a few years back, I don't think. Anyways, pretty amazing. So Joe and Jill are spotted at the beach, and Biden has officially now spent 360 days of his presidency, that's a full year, according to my calculations, on vacation. I mean, who cares really, because he doesn't do anything anyway, but it's just funny. He's getting paid to literally be on vacation all the time. It says earlier this month, a shirtless Joe Biden was spotted at the beach and he looks like a corpse. Yeah, he pretty much does. And he doesn't really walk and talk much different than a corpse either. So that is on Gateway Pundit. We've got quite a few here to look at on this site. NYC Department of Education tech boss resigns after 45,000 confidential student and staff records are hacked. Man. So if you're in NYC and have kids in the school departments, the school system there, just be aware. Says the NYC Department of Education Chief Technology Officer was in charge of the information of thousands of students and staffers in the city after another hack to the sensitive data in June, which included exposure to social security numbers, dates of birth, employee IDs, and OSIS numbers, a number given to all students who attend a city public school. This guy, Sharma, resigned from the role he had held since 2019. I guess it was his fault that the data breach happened. Man, 45,000 confidential student and staff records hacked. So, yep. Welcome to New York, right? New York City hires COVID company in $432 million no-bid contract to ship illegal aliens out of the city. Back in May, New York City Mayor Adams claimed the illegal alien crisis was so bad that 50% of the hotel rooms were occupied by illegal aliens. Over 7 million illegal aliens entered the U.S. through its open doors under Biden. I think it's way more than that from what I can tell. And over 90,000 illegal aliens have been shipped to New York during the crisis. Says New York is a sanctuary city. On Sunday, New York Times reported New York City officials hired DocGo in a $432 million no-bid contract to ship hundreds of illegal aliens out of the city. DocGo, formerly Ambulance, is an 8-year-old company founded in 2015. Already, it has landed a $432 million contract with New York City. Today, the company reportedly holds a value of around $1 billion. DocGo owner is 40-year-old Lee Beinstock, who was once fired by Donald Trump on The Apprentice. But now he's gotten even with Trump, hasn't he? Wow. Oh, well. Anyway, yeah, so New York City strikes again. Just never ending with them, isn't it? Brazil, socialist Lula da Silva imposes gun control. Welcome to tyranny, right? On all citizens, he reverses Bolsonaro's policies that reduced crime. Well, he did come directly from jail to become president, literally. Socialist president of Brazil, Lula da Silva, has overturned all the policies of Bolsonaro that eased access to firearms in Brazil and led to a reduction in crime in the country. That is not something that they want. The more crime, the better, right? Just like here, just like in the U.S. Lula's dictatorial decision confirms his intention to control firearms among citizens in Brazil as previously anticipated by this website in May. So yeah, they're banning guns. KJP confirms Biden regime seeking to restrict water heaters, gas stoves, dishwashers, and other appliances by 2029. I don't know about you, but I don't think Biden makes it that long, do you? I'm not sure any of us make it that long, honestly. But this is, the Biden regime cracking down on gas stoves, water heaters, and other popular appliances, all in the name of battling climate change. Yes, it's your dishwasher's fault that we have climate change. Says they're going full steam ahead to restrict water heaters and other appliances by 2029. Reporter asked KJP how many more home appliances will Americans have to replace because of regulations. So she said, so from this administration, we've seen them go after gas stoves, air conditioning units, and regulate refrigerators, washing machines, dishwashers, now water heaters. How many more home appliances will Americans eventually have to replace them because of regulations? A reporter asked. She admitted the Biden regime is seeking to enact the proposed regulations on every single appliance. They're going to literally ban everything. Or at least try. And this one as well. Germantown, Tennessee suffers severe water crisis amid diesel contamination. So yet another contamination. A major crisis has hit the city of Germantown as residents have been left without clean drinking water for over 5 days. The water reservoir that supplies the city was contaminated with diesel fuel, rendering it unfit for consumption, personal hygiene, and even cooking. So on Thursday, July 20th, city officials discovered a generator leaking diesel fuel into Germantown's main underground water reservoir. It says boiling water will not eliminate the oil, so people cannot drink, take showers, cook, or anything. So, word to the wise, be prepared. Have your own water supply if possible. Something you should work on if you're not already. Anyway, if you're in Germantown, Tennessee, you're apparently out of luck as far as water goes, at least at the moment. Shocking video. Mitch McConnell stops speaking, freezes during a Senate press conference, and pulled away from the podium. We saw a little bit of this in a clip in an earlier video that I played. They're calling it the Great Mitch Glitch. Again, the Great Mitch Glitch. And I've got it here for you. Here it is.
Bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Wait a minute. Are you good? Mitch?
Okay, Mitch. Anything else you want to say, or should we just go back to your office? Do you want to say anything else to the press?
Go ahead, John.
I'll take it. Let's go back to you.
Go ahead, John.
Go ahead, John.
You ever see that scene in Scanners when that dude's head blew up?
It's okay.
Yes, the Great Mitch Glitch of July 26th. That's what it is. Man, these people are amazing. And they're still in the halls of power. They're still ruling over all of us. Unbelievable. So yeah, who knows? It looks like he literally just switched off in the middle of some sort of thought that he was trying to put together there. Just like Biden might try and do at some point. Laughable, Democrat lawmaker gets celebrated after going on a 9-hour food and water strike. 9 hours. 9 whole hours. Food and water strike. Is that a strike? Or is it just called fasting? Representative Greg Casar, a progressive Democrat from Texas, was mocked on Twitter after he came out on Capitol steps to announce that he has ended his 9-hour food and water strike. Casar was fasting to get the White House on board to implement an OSHA heat protection rule that includes water and food breaks. So that's what it was about. After his fast concluded, he stated, "I was honored to be joined at my thirst strike." Oh, it's just a thirst strike, according to him. "By workers in Texas and across the nation, by lots of colleagues pushing for federal heat safety protections. 9 hours without food or water, but I'm more energized than ever to get this done." Yeah, it's called fasting. He must have never heard of it before. That's how it works. So that's pretty funny. And that's not really even true fasting. I mean, he didn't even do 24 hours. That's more like just intermittent fasting, right? So I'm sure they let him have it on Twitter as well. Oh yeah, here it says, bro skipped one meal and he's breaking out the heart rate monitor. Yeah, he sat down on the steps and apparently they started examining his vitals right here. Rep. Kassar even went as far as to live stream his medical checkups. Says, with his suit jacket long gone, he rolled up his sleeve and took his seat on the house steps. It had been hours since his last sip of water, and it was time for a team of nurses to check his vital signs. Wow, it's a good thing he lived. I mean, his life was no doubt in jeopardy. So insane. Millionaire crypto influencer found chopped up in his suitcase, sent out cryptic message before his death. Man, no one deserves this type of thing. This is so insane, so evil. A missing crypto influencer's body was found chopped up in his suitcase in Argentina. Argentinian authorities reported that Fernando Perez Algaba's dismembered body was found inside a red suitcase. Investigators were called to the scene. They discovered his legs and forearms inside the suitcase and identified him through his various tattoos. Wow. I mean, how insane is that? What in the world is going on? More evil. I don't know if that was like a cartel type thing or if that was something that had to do with the crypto, the seedy underworld of the cryptocurrency world. Who knows? All right, get ready. More banning. U.S. ban on incandescent light bulbs starts next week. Here's what to know. This is on Forbes, but I've got another article pulled up on Information Liberation after this. The Biden administration will implement a ban on incandescent light bulbs starting next week in favor of energy-efficient bulbs, following a years-long bipartisan effort to phase out the bulbs after earlier regulations and standards were blocked by Trump. So let's see what the Information Liberation article says. Incandescent light bulb ban starts on August 1st. Gas stove ban coming next. So they are literally banning everything. And they're banning people too. They're banning carbon. So Biden's Department of Energy plans to mete out maximum civil penalty against manufacturers that knowingly distribute illicit light bulbs which violate their new efficiency standards. From Politico, while everyone was yelling about gas stoves, the incandescent light bulb went away. It's lights out for the incandescent bulbs that people have known, changed, and singed their hands on for 140 years. So, man, the end of the light bulb. They want us all in the dark. And what happens when they outlaw LED bulbs and all the other kind of bulbs? Yeah. So, are you going to put up with this? Just a rhetorical question. Biden DOJ drops campaign finance charges against you-know-who, Sam Bankman-Fried. So, I know that's a shock, and you have a hard time believing this, but just listen. Says the Department of Justice has dropped the campaign finance charge against crypto scammer Sam Bankman-Fried. Get close with the Washington Uniparty, and they will protect you every time. Democrat tells befuddled Senator Feinstein to just say aye on appropriations vote. I already played the video of that happening. You guys saw that a little bit earlier. They literally just told her what to say, and she just went along with it. So yeah, she just does what she's told, just like Biden and all the rest of them. UN chief, the era of global warming has ended. The era of global boiling has arrived. I mentioned this one earlier. This is just another article on the same general issue here on Information Liberation. Climate change cult has shifted back to whining about global warming now that it's summer and the weather is hot again. InfoWars breaking. Russia threatens nuclear retaliation against Ukraine after drone strikes major city center in Moscow. Yeah, it hit the financial district. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier when I talked about this particular story, but why it hit the financial district at like 4 a.m. Moscow time on a Sunday, I have no idea. They didn't plan it very well, but I guess, I don't know. I guess that's good in that not as many people were injured, most likely, because there wouldn't have been as many people around. There's simply no other way out. Therefore, our enemies must pray to our warriors. They are making sure that a global nuclear fire is not ignited, says former Russian President Medvedev. The Kremlin threatened to use nuclear weapons against Ukraine in the wake of a series of drone strikes within Moscow's city center on Sunday. Former President Medvedev warned that there is simply no other way out of its conflict with Ukraine than the use of nuclear weapons. No other way out. What's that tell you? Man. Yeah, so that's on InfoWars. Drone attack in Russia indicates West wants to provoke World War III before Biden up for re-election. Yep, I would say that's pretty true. Owen Schroyer lays out how the globalist captured West is determined to push the U.S. into direct global war with Russia to avoid a fair election in 2024. Yeah, I mean, that does seem to be where it's headed, although I don't think there's going to be any fair election no matter what happens, whether there's a war or not. I just paid $20 for eggs and bacon at a grocery store, and Biden says, I'm taking away your gas stove. So you just have to eat them raw. See how that works? Got a few articles here. Not too many new ones this week. Africa strengthens ties with Russia as coup against Western-backed governments spread across African continent. People actually trying to stop child trafficking are often murdered. The censored Linda Collins Smith story. So there's two of the articles. The true cost of Assange's persecution, an exclusive interview with Stella Assange. So that'd be interesting. Freemason Elon Musk rebrands Twitter to X. New everything app is the goal. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys are Twitter users. I only really just became... I've been on Twitter for a long time with my music business profile, but I hardly ever use it. So I didn't really pay much attention to the goings-on there. But I do have a Diamond Report Twitter page now. So I noticed the other day on my page it started showing X's everywhere. I'm like, what in the world's going on? But he had rebranded it. It's no longer the little blue bird, it's the X. So figure that one out. More Musk fun, I guess. He's got plans for it, and most likely it's not going to be good. We'll see what happens. All right, so Sodom and Gomorrah, we mentioned that last week as well. I think it was last week. And this whole thing is pretty interesting to me because it's been known for a long time. People who have followed Ron Wyatt's work as I have known that he discovered Sodom and Gomorrah years ago, many years ago. So let me just read through this, and then I want to watch a short video here with you about Sodom and Gomorrah. And everybody's acting like, gee, this is all brand new information, and somebody just now found it. And wow, look how brilliant this person is. And it's obviously not even attributing anything to Ron Wyatt. So I want to set the record straight here. Ron Wyatt's the guy that discovered it. Ron Wyatt's discovery of Sodom, Gomorrah, and the cities of the plain. In 1989, after passing some odd colored formations that he had passed before 30 or 40 times, Ron Wyatt was impressed to stop and closely examine them. What he discovered was the most visible, accessible authentication of the literal Word of God ever found. These ashen structural remains were saturated and encapsulated sulfur balls, or leftover fire and brimstone from heaven. The Sphinx, ziggurat, right angles, and wall shapes, complete with ramparts, became visible even to the untrained eye. So this is on ronwyatt.com, and I will certainly link to this. You guys can look it up if you want, but there's quite a bit here on, this is just one page on the Sodom and Gomorrah story, and a little bit of the background, and the fact that he's the guy that discovered it. But let's watch this video because it really attributes it to the discovery to this other guy. And I just find it a bit interesting in that he seems to be claiming Ron's work and yet giving no connection to Ron whatsoever, not attributing anything to him. So here it is. It's called Sodom and Gomorrah Finally Found.
Earlier this month, archaeologist Dr. Steve Collins claimed to have discovered the biblical Bronze Age cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, two of the cities destroyed by fire and brimstone in an act of divine judgment from God. He even claims to have found a piece of glazed pottery which he says was superficially melted on the surface, similar to the way sand melts at test sites for various explosive devices. Dr. Collins proposed location for Sodom is in present-day Jordan, in the Jordan River Valley, on the north side of the Dead Sea. He based this conclusion on Genesis 13, which he says, quote, is the verbal map to get to the city of Sodom. However, there's a wide variety of theories on the true location of Sodom, Gomorrah, and the other cities of the plains, most of which place the cities on the south end of the Dead Sea, rather than on the north end as Dr. Collins believes. Some even place the cities beneath the Dead Sea, underwater. One of the most compelling views does a little of both, placing Sodom and Gomorrah on the south end of the Dead Sea, with Admah and Zeboam on the north end. This view is derived from Genesis 10:19, which draws out a rectangle as it describes the borders of Canaan, future Israel. Quote, and the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou comest to Gerar unto Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah and Zeboam, even unto Lasha. The reason this layout of the cities of the plains is compelling is because scientific evidence has been discovered to confirm that the biblical story is in fact a historical event. The Bible says that these cities were exceedingly wicked, and not a single righteous person could be found inhabiting them. So in the end, Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed by fire and brimstone. Brimstone is just an archaic term for sulfur. Balls of sulfur, unlike any other naturally occurring sulfur deposits, were found embedded in flaky ash-like material at various sites around the Dead Sea, and each ball was encased in a blackened, charred capsule of ash. Thousands of these sulfur balls were discovered, of various sizes, from marbles to golf balls to baseballs and even bigger, and they were tested and confirmed to be brimstone. Again, unlike any other naturally occurring form of this element, with an extremely high purity of sulfur, almost as if these sulfur balls rained down from the sky, burning all the while. The fact that these sulfur samples were found at the sites of Sodom and Gomorrah is indicative that this event took place, and despite the time that has passed since God's destructive judgment, it seems he has preserved evidence of his hand, as he did with the worldwide flood. Researchers that visit these unique sites suggest that these land formations, made up of the flaky ash-like material, are in fact the remains of cities, citing ancient ziggurats, sphinxes, archways, pillars, city walls, and other signs of masonry, and comparing these to known ancient construction. They also reference thermal ionization, a physical process whereby the atoms are released from each other when temperatures burn at an extreme heat, along with the sulfur causing a chemical reaction that would change the very physical state of wood, stone, and any other material caught in the massive inferno. The swirling patterns evident on these land formations are different from the layering of material at sites such as the Grand Canyon, and researchers believe they show a snapshot of the burning stone of the city as it finally cooled and solidified in its new chemical and physical state, due to the rapid burning and reaction with sulfur. In the footprint of these archaeological sites, nothing ever grew here, and no city was ever built again. Many people have visited these cities and harvested the sulfur balls for themselves. So do your own deep dive into this subject, and decide for yourself where you believe the true sites of Sodom and Gomorrah may be. One thing is for sure, these places did exist at one time, and even if we never know their true location for sure, we can rest assured that God's judgment is righteous, and the work of his hand is everlasting. So as our culture follows in the footsteps of Sodom and Gomorrah, pray for America, that we may not be judged as the cities of the plains were thousands of years ago. This is Brian Wilson with Infowars.com.
Well, I just wanted to set the record straight on that because, as you can see here from the YouTube video, I've got just a frame pulled up here. That's Ron Wyatt, and you can see some of the sulfur balls embedded in the rocks right there. And this video would have been taken in the 80s or 90s. So anyway, yeah. And then the guy that they mentioned at the beginning of that video, I thought it was kind of interesting. He had the whole Indiana Jones look, and he's also imitating Ron Wyatt on that one. And actually, Ron was, I think, the guy that started that whole look. And in Indy, the character of Indiana Jones was modeled more off of what he was doing, what he was wearing. So he's got the hat and the jacket and everything. So the other guy that they're attributing to finding Sodom and Gomorrah in this video I just played has also decided to take that same look and use that for himself. I thought that was kind of interesting. So apparently not too many original ideas going on around there. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to show you guys some more info about the Sodom and Gomorrah story there. And then speaking of which, the 9th of Av has just recently passed us, and that was, I don't know if you guys know about it, Tisha B'Av. I guess this year it was on July 26th and 7th. It says this year the 9th of Av began at sundown July 26th, lasted through sundown on the 27th, marked by a 25-hour fast and prayers and reading throughout the period. So why does that matter? Why is that important? It says that specific tragedies that have befallen the Jewish people over the ages have happened on that particular date, the 9th of Av. Such as the destruction of the first 2 temples, hundreds of years apart, happened on the same day, 9th of Av. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. Just means it confirms that God is in control. So anyway, there's some more information on this is on Israel365news.com. That's where it is. And I was going to mention too that I've mentioned before in videos when talking about this timeline here that surprisingly, actually before I show you the timeline, I just did a quick search on Google just to see when the 9th of Av happens in 2028. And because it's going to be around this time of year, pretty much every year. But it's not always the same date because it's based on the moon, the cycle of the moon and so forth. So August 1st, 2028 is the 9th of Av. So if you look at this timeline, interesting thing to me is that I have, remember I plugged the dates into this timeline back in 2019. And July 2028 is when I've calculated based on Jesus' return in September of 2028, July of 2028, just a couple months, 2.5 months prior, would be basically the beginnings of the 7 bowl judgments. And if you look at when August 1st would be, it would be right during that period of time. So I would posit that even though there's no third temple that has been built yet, I fully believe that there will be. I think Scripture supports that. I would go a step further and say that the third temple might very well be destroyed on the 9th of Av, 2028. Which would be around August the 1st of 2028. So I know that they haven't even built it yet, and I'm already saying that it's going to be destroyed. But I think that would fit perfectly into God's timeline, into God's plan, because there's no temple needed. We're the temple. Our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit, and Jesus Christ died for us. And no building is needed. And I think that God will allow the temple to be destroyed once, even though it's going to be built soon. I'm pretty sure. I would certainly. I'm not going to say I'm going to bet money on it, but Scripture certainly supports it. I think that there's a really good chance it could be destroyed on the 9th of Av, 2028. Just a thought, but I just wanted to mention that because that is something that we've just passed just a few days ago. Anyway, let's look at a few more things, and then we can take a look at your comments and questions. Geoengineeringwatch.org, this week's show. This is dated yesterday. Earth is at catastrophic risk of collapse by 2025. Even mainstream sources are now admitting what's becoming all but impossible to hide or deny. Over a dozen countries are enduring catastrophic wildfires. Primarily heat distributing ocean currents are shutting down and the ozone layer is collapsing. while Matrix Media attempts to pacify populations by convincing them that we can tech our way out of the converging catastrophes that are closing in from every direction or adapt, the reality on the ground continues to prove otherwise. The challenges we collectively face are not just coming, they are here. Is there still time to make a difference? Dane is asking on geoengineeringwatch.org. So another good broadcast this week, and it's called Owning the Weather. Feel free to take a look at that. He's also now, I don't think I've mentioned it, he's also now on BitChute and Rumble. If you guys are on there, you can look up Geoengineering Watch and maybe follow on BitChute and Rumble. We upload the show there every week as well. So feel free to do that. And then we didn't have a new show this week with Richard and Lost Search Radio. He was not quite feeling up to it, but we are due to record another show this week. So hopefully we'll be able to do the show if Richard feels up to it. And again, if you haven't already, please support him. Give Send Go is set up. He's having some health crises of his own and trying to make it through it. And a little bit of financial support is certainly a good thing. So that will help him, although he's working on the health aspect of it. And so far, he just has to take it a day at a time. So anyway, Richard Sachs, good friend of mine and host of Lost Arts Radio, would love your support, and you can do that by going to Give Send Go. There's actually a link here on pretty much any page of the website at the top, and you can just go to givesendgo.com/Richard Sachs if you want. That's an easy way to find it, but you can link to it right here. So there's the Substack page. We can stay on here for a minute. This is the place where you can go subscribe. If you do happen to want the links on the articles that I talk about, you can type in your email address and hit subscribe, or just click on no thanks. Either way, if you click no thanks, you go on into the Substack pages anyway, and you'll still be able to see the post once I put it up there. So no pressure, not trying to sell anything, so feel free to jump on the list if you want to. I don't do anything with the email list other than communicate with you. So that's it. And then you can also hit reply and email me back if you ever need to for any reason. Let's see here. Let me, I was going to show you guys something. I've got the store pulled up, which reminds me, I got a shipment of a few of the things that I ordered, and I'm actually wearing the Conspiracy Analyst shirt. You see that? The Diamond Report Conspiracy Analyst shirt. I was happy with the way it turned out. It's very, it's soft, but it's very thick. It's very like heavy duty. And here's the logo, the Diamond Report logo on the sleeve. And on this sleeve, it's got the Champion logo. I don't know if you can see, but it's actually a Champion shirt. So it's good quality, and I got one of these as well. This is the Diamond Report. Well, this is the End Times Dates shirt. I got one of these too. And I got I just bought several things because I wanted to verify that the quality was good. Because remember, we're doing print on demand here for these products. So I designed them, and then I wasn't sure what the quality was going to be like until I actually ordered them. So here is the mug that I got, Diamond Disc Audio mug. There's the logo, and it seems really, really well made. My friend Sam, I'm not sure if he's here, he got a Diamond Report mug, same exact thing, but the Diamond Report logo instead of my music company. And he said the quality was excellent. So that's good news. I'm glad he was happy with it. He's a coffee drinker. I'm not really a hot liquid drinker. I don't know why. I love tea, but I don't drink hot tea. I'm in the South, so I drink, sweet tea. I like cold tea, but this is a really good 15-ounce type of mug. So I've been happy with the quality of that, and I was going to show you one more thing. Save this for last because it's big. This is the Diamond Report mouse pad for really big mice. There it is. Not sure if you can see it. It's got both logos on it, the Diamond Report logo and the End Times Date logo as well. So yeah, if you have a really big mouse, you might want one, but otherwise, I don't know. But anyway, I just want to show you guys that stuff just because I bought a few things and just wanted to verify the quality. And overall, I'm really, really pleased with it. I think it's good. And if you guys want to support what I'm doing, that's how you can do it. Just feel free to buy something from the store if you want to. But again, no pressure. I just put it there because people seem to be asking about it, and that was kind of the main reason. having the mugs and some of the different things. So there's some options. There's some cheaper type things, and there's some more expensive type things as well. So it just depends on what you're looking for. So thank you guys. Yeah, thanks for that. If you want to visit the store, it's actually you can go to shop.thediamond.report. It's up there in the upper right corner, and that's how you get there. And otherwise, we have the normal platforms that you will see these videos on. This video, even though it's on YouTube at the moment, I'll have to delete it as soon as I'm done. Otherwise, there's a good chance I'll have a strike by morning. Probably it won't even take that long. So yeah, we'll delete it when I'm finished tonight, and then I will re-upload what I'm calling a cut down or a clip of tonight's show, where I go and remove all the stuff that would be classified as medical misinformation and blah blah blah. So I go through and remove those type of stories and re-upload the rest of what's left. Put that on YouTube, but the full show without any sort of removals is uploaded on my Rumble channel and BitChute and Brighteon, and I'm at Diamond Disc on all those channels, and ClickView. So yeah, so you can find me in those places, and those links are also provided in the Substack. So there's a direct link that will take you right to where the completed video is. So that's how you find it. If you're willing to share it, that would certainly help me. I mean, so far so good. I'm getting a few new people here and there, but I would like to grow the show and continue doing it. Again, it's commercial free. We're coming up on 3 hours at this point. So, obviously this is a lot of time. This takes a lot of my time, a lot of your time. I don't really ask for anything other than if you go out and share it, that would be the most beneficial thing you can do for me. So thank you. I certainly appreciate that. We've got one short video here I wanted to close with. It's called Stand Up For Yourself. And I think it's very appropriate, and I think it will be good encouragement for you guys. And I guess otherwise we can just say goodbye tonight. It is getting pretty late here, so hopefully it's going to be a good week coming up for you guys. And if anything crazy happens, I will jump on here like I always say. So far, so good. We haven't had to do that. I do think there's some major stuff coming our way, though, for sure. I just don't know when. None of us do. All we can do is take it to the Lord in prayer. I hope you do. I'm certainly trying to remember and do that all the time. I should mention one more thing before I leave. This is my music company. This is my my bill-paying modicum. This is how I am able to pay the bills. So DiamondDiscAudio.com is a company I started in 1996, and surprisingly still have the same prices as I did back then. I'm able to continue doing what I do because I have low overhead. So I do mixing and mastering for independent bands and musicians and stuff. Primarily that's it. I build websites and do other things too, as you guys know. But Diamond Disc Audio or DougDiamond.com will get you there. So thank you guys. And if you have friends or family or people that need any sort of media related stuff, I do all kinds of things. I do graphic design as well. And again, that's how I pay my bills. So feel free to send them my way, and I would love to talk to them. So websites, graphic design, anything music related pretty much, and you'll find it there on that website. So thanks in advance for that. So yeah, let me see if you guys had any last comments. Look like a couple more popped up here. So thank you so much for your time. Wonderful reporting, Kathy says. Look forward to it all week. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's very nice to hear. Try not to miss the Diamond Report every Sunday night at the same time until further notice. Williams got it down. Yep, you're right. Yeah, we're doing 10 p.m. Central Time on Sunday nights, and so far so good. That's worked out really well for me and for you guys because you keep coming back, so it must be working out. My daughter bought me a big mouse pad, and I love it. Susan says it's great to have nice sized mat to rest elbows on if you spend a lot of time at the keyboard. Cool. That's good to hear, Susan. Thank you. Yeah. May God bless Doug, friends, fellow sojourners. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Hope you guys have a super week. God bless you guys. And again, we'll do it again next week. Talk to you again very soon.